Hi guys, welcome back to another video. It's been a while since I posted a video on eucalypts, but I just found this patch of a wonderful line of planting, if you ignore the dumpster in front of me, of various species of eucalypts. I don't know what would be a good angle, but you can see, like, from by intermingling different species, you can achieve this really nice look of texture, color, height. It's just all white, very, very nice. Okay, so let me just walk up to each one of them. First this is a Eucalyptus kruseana, or the common leaf is book-leafed mallee. This is probably the biggest kruseana I've ever seen. It's about twice, 3 times my height. And if I get a little bit closer, you can see it's actually in bloom right now. It's really nice, and of course, its unique feature is those very closely, tightly packed opposite leaves that persist into the crown, and it's extremely glaucous. And yeah, so that's the first one. Next to it, we just have another ghost gum. I think the species is Eucalyptus, Corymbia aparrerinja. A lot of the labels says Papuana, but I think some people will think the Papuana is the one that's with a very narrow distribution on the top northeastern corner, and with the elongated rachis in the inflorescence. I'll show you when I find an inflorescence, but these should be aparrerinja. Okay, moving on. In front of me, if you look at the trunk and just walk up to it, you might think this is a small ghost gum, but it really isn't. If you look at the inflorescence, let me walk around. Oh, here's some. Oh, here's more. If you look at the inflorescence, it's actually, let me zoom in. It's, you can see it's at the terminal of the branch and it's compound, and this is very, very different. And the fruit also looks very thin walled. I have a couple that have already shed their seeds. Where'd it go? Yeah, you can see the fruit is very shallow and thin walled, and this is actually Eucalyptus victrix. If you zoom, and the trunk is extremely powdery. This is closely related to the coolabah. It's one of the boxes, but this is also a really, really good tree if you are in a harsh, hot, dry environment. But you want something that is small, has cool colored, like, this bluish gray color leaves, as well as this beautiful, beautiful white trunk. I think while I walk to the next tree, I think the name victrix actually is a description saying how much a victory it is in succeeding in its original habitat, which is very, very harsh. It's in the Kimberleys. I think it rains very little. It's also very hot year round. Okay, here is another ghost gum, Corymbia aparrerinja. If I don't know if this is too tall for me to show the fruit. Yeah, it's a little bit too tall. You might have to just take my word for it. But if you look at this inflorescence, it looks like it's just like multi, like maybe 7 or 11 flowered, like inflorescence, but really it's a compound inflorescence at the axis, or terminal. I think terminal. Anyways, and it looks so like just like a 7 or 11 flower instead of a compound one, because the internode in the inflorescence is so short. That's what makes it a aparrerinja instead of, say, a papuana. Anyways, moving on. Here is a Eucalyptus stricklandii. I really think that plant should be planted more in the States, but it's not. It has big, thick, leathery leaves and very, very white trunk, powdery. I think when it's mature, it will have a rough base, but right now, this is a smallish tree. It's still pretty smooth, and it flowers yellow flowers, very, very conspicuous. They're in bud right now. Nothing is in bloom. But yeah, another really cool eucalypts that should be planted more. Sorry, there are just many cars. I have to walk up to each of them. Okay, if we keep going, that's another very quick quiz. So see the white trunk, see the terminal inflorescence that are the buds are very small and shallow. Well, these aren't open, so you can't quite tell they're shallow. but they are really small if you compare to my hand. Those are victrix, not ghost gums. All right, moving on. This is another ghost gum doing extremely well. And here is a Eucalyptus erythrocorys that's not doing so well, but also another really cool species known for its very, very, very big gum nuts, as well as the red cap in their inflorescence, the red operculum, hence the common name red-capped gum. You can probably see it there. Where's the name tag? I don't know if you can see, the sun is kind of bright. And this is in a really diverse group of eucalypts, and I don't have any fruits to show you, so I'll skip the taxonomical details, but the juvenile leaf is quite furry. I don't know if you can tell, but then it transitions into the adult leaf that just like typical looking lanceolate eucalyptus leaves. All right, moving on. This is Eucalyptus woodwardii. Again, a very, very, very popular ornamental one in desert, drier, arid climates. This one is commonly named lemon-flowered gum or something like that. I think it's in reference to its flower. I don't know if you can see. Yep, there it is. I feel like it's not that you can see. I can't really see, my screen is too bright out here. But yeah, again, some of them, or many of them, have those droopy branches, and it's very graceful, and the bud is really unique. It turns upwards and is very, very glaucous. Again, a really, really popular species for arid places. Highly recommend. All right, moving on to the next one. If my camera will just focus in time. This is a Eucalyptus leucoxylon, very, very, again, popular and common in cooler but also dryish areas. I don't see this as much in southern Arizona. I don't actually know if it'll do very well if it's just without any supplemental irrigation. I don't know if you'll water it here either, but those, you see a lot of them in the Bay Area. And here are some flower buds. Where are they? Is it in focus? Okay, well, this is the best my camera can do. Those are pretty unique, and usually there are 3 flowered buds, and sometimes one fall off, and it seems like 2. There's a lot of variation in this species. Some have much bigger flowers and smaller statures, and some are the opposite. I think this one is kind of in between. This one have relatively small leaves. I also don't know if that's because it's in a really hot area, so the leaves are smaller. All right, so Eucalyptus leucoxylon, native to, I think, South Australia. Okay, the next one here is Eucalyptus spatulata. Again, another very, very popular species for the arid places. Its common name, I think one of them is swamp mallet. But I think it's swamp mallet, but actually I don't think it lives in swamps, or like it just lives in like seasonally flowed rivers or by those rivers, something like that. It has very, very fine leaves, very leathery, feathery and beautiful. If you look at the crown, great species for the desert landscape. Also, another thing that you can probably notice is this really cool colored bronze trunk that is, it's not uncommon, but you know, a lot of times we think of gum tree, they're just white or pale or gray. While there's a lot of other color spectrum from, you know, orange-ish to like even this bronze color. All right, moving on forward. The next few are Eucalyptus microtheca. Very, very common here in southern Arizona. And they are very, very drought tolerant. Also native like in that Kulaba group, but I think those are microtheca. Very beautiful trees, very tough ones as well. Okay, moving on to the next one. This is Eucalyptus grossa, and it's not my personal favorite species because it always looks so, you know, raggedy and just like, but it's actually really nice too. It has very, very thick leaves. Let me get into between those cars and show you. Ooh, there may not be enough room. Okay, I got in. Again, very, very thick, big leathery leaves, glossy. Beautiful ornament. Like if you want a low, prostrate, yellow flowering eucalyptus, and this is a really good mallee. And look at the gigantic buds. And they're held really rigid, like really rigid. That's also, well, you can't really, this species really stands out. You can't really mix it with something else. It's so unique looking. All right, moving on to the next one. This is another Kulaba. And this one is a Eucalyptus campaspe. This is in the gimlet group, but somehow I haven't seen the salubris, the gimlet planted that much in southern Arizona, but I see a lot of campaspe. One of the main difference is that you see the heavily, come on focus, glaucous branches, buds, leaves, and overall the plant the crown is silvery gray color. Is extremely nice. Okay, and there's a car pulling out, so I'll stand here for a little bit. But if you contrast, say, this crown that is very glaucous to that crown of the little ghost gum there, is pretty green, and then to another crown over there in the horizon that is very glossy green. You can see that's a salmon gum, by the way, the Eucalyptus salmonophloia. But you can see how you can use different eucalypt species to achieve such a huge diversity. A lot of times people think of eucalypts, people in California in Northern California think of those as like, the riverigums, the globulus, the dirty big one that drops limbs. People in Southern California think of those globulus and maybe some comedolensis and maybe some the sugar gums. But really, like here, you can see there is such a big variety, a huge variety of them, and they are so different. They're not just one, and some of them are taller, some of them are shorter, and they all have different. They're just gorgeous. I'll stop rambling, and the car also left, so I can walk now. And you wouldn't have guessed this is not the most typical one, but this is Eucalyptus either websteriana or orbifolia, or even minerichii, if you basically it's in that group. I don't know the difference between websteriana or orbifolia too well, but again, if you think of the name orbifolia, it probably means the leaf is pretty round. And it's also very, very glaucous, very, very drought tolerant, native to very dry, harsh parts in Australia. This one hasn't flowered as much, but so I can't really find many fruits. But one of the characteristics of the trees in this, or the mallees in this group, is the minerichi bark. Does it focus? So, instead of shedding in large strips or like revealing a smooth part or just be persistent, the bark kind of sheds in little thin flakes, curls, and then just kind of stays on, and that's what people call a minerichi pattern or bark, and that's very distinguishable for eucalypts in this group. Okay, I think we're almost done here. Let me move over. It's really hard to film in the sun. I can barely see my phone screen. That is another kruseana, and last but not least, this is the salmonophloia, and known for its very, very beautiful trunk and very glossy leaves. You can see glistening in the sun. Isn't that cool? And have very small, delicate looking buds and flowers. They're all very high up, so I didn't find a good one to show, but yeah. And the wood, I think is very durable, and people use that a lot for construction purposes. And also the name salmon gum comes from the salmon or bronze colored trunk. Let me see if I can find a little bud or something on the ground. Nope, I couldn't find any on the ground. Let me see. Sorry, it just, yeah. And without getting you nauseated, I will end here. But again, a very, very, very good little strip of many diverse eucalypts, salmon gum, kruseana, orbifolia, and microtheca, and a lot of things over there. Very cool. All right, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.